Yo, what up y'all, IntraVenus here, back with another episode of P.O.L. Gamer View. We're doing part 11 today of our PSP GEMS, and we're focusing on number 3 for first-person shooters, covering the final 3 first-person shooters on the PSP, plus 5 PS1 games that can be played wonderfully on this handheld device. Let's get into it.
This crowd's all over. I think I saw a mortar team just back there.
Number 1. Brothers in Arms D-Day is a first-person shooter video game in the Brothers in Arms series for the PlayStation Portable. It uses the Unreal Engine 2.0 as its technology base. Though labeled as a spin-off, the game's plot is actually a crossover and compilation of Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30 and Brothers in Arms Earned in Blood from the main series. Brothers in Arms D-Day received mixed or average reviews according to review aggregator Metacritic, earning it a score 65 out of 100 and a 7 out of 10 on Eurogamer, 2.75 out of 5 on GamePro, and 5.9 out of 10 on GameSpot. Brothers in Arms D-Day takes the player through the Normandy campaign and, like its predecessors, follows Sergeant Matthew Baker and Corporal and later Sergeant Joe Hartstock through actual missions that took place in Normandy during June 1944, from the June 6th airborne invasion to Saint-Sauveur-le-Vicomte. Also, like Brothers in Arms, Road to Hill 30, and Brothers in Arms Earned in Blood, it gives the chance for the player to take control of a squad, allowing the player to issue orders and decide the best way to assault the enemy. BIA D-Day also offers a wide range of both German and American authentic World War II weapons. Much like the first 2 Brothers in Arms games, D-Day heavily focuses on commanding a squad to suppress then flank an enemy force with head-on assaults, usually resulting in disaster. Brothers in Arms D-Day, or BIA D-Day, was released on November 7th, 2006 in Australia, December 5th, 2006 in North America, and the 8th of December in 2006 in Europe. This first-person shooter features single-player and multiplayer gameplay, developed by Gearbox Software and Ubisoft Shanghai.
Hit him hard! Take cover there! Roger that! Give me a base of fire on that position!
Number 2. Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Vegas is the 6th game in the Rainbow Six series of video games. It was released in November 2006 for the Xbox 360 and Windows, and in June 2007 for the PS3 and the Sony Playstation Portable. The game's storyline follows a new team that is dispatched to Las Vegas, Nevada to defeat international terrorists Irina Morales and her army of mercenaries that are repeatedly attacking key locations in the city. A sequel developed by Ubisoft Montreal was released on Xbox 360 and PS3 consoles in March 2008, as well as a PC version in April of the same year. While the Xbox 360 edition of Rainbow Six Vegas was released to very positive reviews from major gaming news outlets such as GameSpy, receiving a 5 out of 5, and GameSpot receiving a 9.1 out of 10, the PC and PS3 versions also received positive reviews. However, the PSP version received mixed reviews. Rainbow Six Vegas changes the series with multiple new features, such as a new health system where the player regenerates health while not taking fire. The player's vision is greatly impaired while damaged, similar to the health system in Gears of War. Furthermore, a third-person view has been included for moments where players can blind fire around corners to lay down suppression or covering fire. Other changes include a larger army presence and much tougher artificial intelligence, a shift in focus to where kills will be much harder to obtain, a reincarnated aiming system similar to the aiming system of the old Rainbow Six games, and a context-sensitive D-pad based command system for the player's squad, and sections of gameplay where the player will scale buildings and cause environmental damage.
Okay, Brian, the garden's clear. Moving on.
Number 3. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter 2, also known as GRA.W, is a tactical shooter video game developed by Ubisoft Paris and Red Storm Entertainment and published by Ubisoft. It was released for Xbox 360, Microsoft Windows, Sony Playstation 3, and of course, the Sony Playstation Portable. It is the sequel to Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. High Voltage Software developed the game's PlayStation Portable version, while GRIN developed the PC version. The game takes place in 2014, immediately after the events of Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, just south of the Mexico-United States border, and focuses on the conflict between a Mexican rebel group, Mexican loyalists, and the U.S. Army in the span of 72 hours. A wide array of location types are included, featuring mountains, small towns, urban environments, and a large hydroelectric dam. Reviews of the game were favorable upon release. Although the Windows version of the game got lower scores than the console versions, the PSP did score the lowest, with only a 61 out of 100. Controversy surrounded this game when the mayor of Ciudad Juarez criticized the game for trying to scare tourists away from going to the town. Chihuahua's governor, Jose Reyes, condemned the game for insulting Mexico and its people, calling on all authorities to seize the game if it were sold on Mexican soil.
Command, this is Ghost Leader.
Mitchell, what's your status? We lost contact with...
Alright everyone, that covers the final first-person shooter game for the PlayStation Portable. If you haven't checked out the first 2 episodes of this, go ahead and check them out now. We're moving on to PS1 games, and I'm going to start out with number 1, Alien Trilogy on the PlayStation 1. Alien Trilogy is a first-person shooter video game developed by P.O.L Entertainment and published by Acclaim Entertainment in 1996 for the Sony Playstation, Sega Saturn, and MS-DOS platforms. The game is based on the first 3 movies in the Alien film series. One of the first games developed by P.O.L following their acquisition of Acclaim, it debuted Acclaim's much-hyped motion capture technology. The game was well received by critics, who praised its recreation of the film's atmosphere and its gameplay depth compared to other first-person shooters, and was a commercial success. Alien Trilogy takes many elements from the Alien film series, such as facehuggers, chestbursters, dog aliens, adult aliens, and queen aliens. The video game consists of 30 levels and 3 queen alien bosses. It features several weapons, including the pulse rifle from Aliens, and other equipment such as a shoulder lamp, which can be used by the player. The console versions only have a single-player campaign, whereas the DOS version featured Deathmatch Network multiplayer. The PlayStation version of Alien Trilogy received a 78% out of 100 from Game Rankings, and it received a B+ from Game Revolution, as well as an 8 out of 10 on IGN. Receiving generally positive reviews from critics, reviewers gave the PlayStation version their Game of the Month award, concurring it to be the best video game based on the Alien franchise, chiefly due to the graphics and sound effects authentically recreating the style of the films. 2 of the reviewers also commented that the use of mission objectives gives the game more depth than the average first-person shooter. GamePro also commented positively on the sound effects but was not impressed by the graphics, remarking that though they are faithful to the films, they are overly monochrome and suffer from extreme pixelation. The reviewer also complained of targeting problems but gave the game a strong recommendation due to the fun of cruising the halls, wiping out aliens, and torching and detonating the area. Alright, next up for our first-person shooters on the PlayStation 1 that could also be played on PSP, we're gonna give you the game Power Slave. A first-person shooter video game developed by Lobotomy Software and published by Playmates Interactive in North America and BMG Interactive in Europe and Japan. It was released in North America, Europe, and Japan for the Sega Saturn, PS1, and the MS-DOS over the course of a year from late 1996 to late 1997. On May 24, 2015, Power Slave EX, an unofficial remake for the PlayStation version, has since reappeared on GitHub. The MS-DOS version of Power Slave was added to the GOG store on November 19th of 2020. Power Slave is set in and around the ancient city of Karnak in Egypt in the late 20th century. The city has been seized by unknown forces, with a special crack team of hardened soldiers sent to the valley of Karnak to uncover the source of this trouble. However, on the journey there, the player's helicopter is shot down and the player barely escapes. Sent into the valley is the hero to save Karnak in the world. The player must battle hordes of extraterrestrial insectoid beings known as the Killmot, as well as their various minions, which include mummies, Anubis soldiers, scorpions, and evil spirits. The player's course of action is directed by the King Ramses spirit himself, whose mummy was exhumed from its tomb by the Killmot, who seek to resurrect him and use his powers to control the world. The PlayStation version of Power Slave received little attention from critics. GamePro said it was not as polished as the Saturn version, but still outstanding in absolute terms. In his review of the PC version, P.O.L of GameSpot called the game flawed but fun, worth buying on discount. Both P.O.L and Next Generation compared it unfavorably to leading first-person shooters of the time, particularly Duke Nukem 3D. Both of them criticized the small weapons arsenal and inability to save at any point. Next Generation praised the level design and enemies, but ultimately felt Power Slave failed to distinguish itself in the wave of first-person shooters being released for PC at the time. A 2005 OneUp.com article on the Sega Saturn mentioned that Power Slave featured one of the most impressive 3D engines in any 32-bit game. Alright, next up for our PS1 classics that can be played wonderfully on the Sony PlayStation Portable, we have Descent Maximum, also known as Descent 2. Descent Maximum is a 1996 first-person shooter game developed by Parallax Software. It was first published for DOS by Interplay Productions. It is the second installment in the Descent video game series and the sequel to Descent. The base of the gameplay remaining the same, the player controls a spaceship from the pilot's perspective and must navigate extrasolar underground mines to locate and destroy their reactors and escape being caught in their self-destructions, while engaging and surviving infected robots which will attempt to destroy your ship. Unlike other first-person shooters, its 6 degrees of freedom scheme allows you, the player, to move and rotate in any three-dimensional space and direction. Descent 2's development started as a project intended to expand the original usage of compact disc storage, which later became a standalone product. The game received very positive reviews from video game critics who widely lauded the multiplayer mode and the inclusion of the Guidebot, a scouting robot that guides the player to their objectives. The PlayStation version's reception was rather mixed, with critics often disagreeing in their evaluations of its frame rate. A sequel, Descent 3, was released in 1999. The plot is linear and is mostly provided by the introductory and concluding full-motion video cutscenes. After the Material Defender has destroyed all of the solar system's mines in the original Descent, he stops in the asteroid belt to dock. He is then contacted by Post-Terran Mining Corporation executive Dravis, who exploits a loophole in a contract to coerce him to accept a new mission or forfeit his reward and face legal action. The material defender consents, and as Dravis tries to convince him that he is merely embarking on a reconnaissance mission, his ship is fitted with the prototype warp core. He is then sent to clear out PTMC's deep space mines beyond the solar system. Number 4, for the PS1 classics that play wonderful on the PlayStation Portable, we have Star Wars Dark Forces. A first-person shooter video game developed and published by LucasArts. It was released in 1995 for MS-DOS and Macintosh, and followed in 1996 for the Sony Playstation. The story is set in the fictional Star Wars expanded universe and begins shortly before the original Star Wars film, before flashing forward to a year after the film's events. The game's protagonist and playable character, Kyle Katarn, a mercenary working on behalf of the Rebel Alliance who discovers the Galactic Empire's secret Dark Trooper project, which involves the development of a series of powerful new battle droids and power-armored stormtroopers. Dark Forces uses the Jedi game engine, which was developed specifically for the game. The engine adds gameplay features that were uncommon to the first-person shooter genre at the time of release, including level designs with multiple floors and the ability to look up and down. Because of the two games' similarities, Dark Forces has often been compared to Doom as a Doom clone, though the latter lacked several technical features that Dark Forces introduced. Upon release, the PC version of the game received largely favorable reviews from critics who praised its level design and technological advances. The other versions received mixed reviews, with the PlayStation version in particular being criticized for its graphics and slow frame rates. It also did well financially, selling almost 1 million copies in the United States by 1999. The game's success launched the Star Wars Jedi Knight series, beginning with the direct sequel, Star Wars Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2, in 1997. And our final game for this episode is Delta Force: Urban Warfare, a first-person shooter by developer and publisher Nova Logic. It was designed to be a military simulation loosely based on the Delta Force Special Operations Force. The storyline spans 12 missions, including a bank robbery, a hostage rescue, and an assault on an offshore oil rig. It was re-released in 2010 on PlayStation Network for the PS3 and the PSP. Please take note that I have yet to find the official PSP version, and it may very well have been released digital only. In fact, very little information is found online about the game Delta Force Urban Warfare for the PlayStation at all. The game was released in North America on July 2nd in 2002 and Europe in August 9th, 2002. In September 2002, Electronic Gaming Monthly said, "As a gritty, militaristic first-person shooter, Delta Force features detailed environments by PS1 standards, and plenty of cool effects to drive home the point that you're an elite shooter loaded with nifty gadgets," and gave it a score of 70 out of 100. Electric Playground gave the game a 70 out of 100 as well, claiming Urban Warfare also plays more like a first-person clone of Metal Gear Solid, and not a bad one at that. And that does it for this episode of P.O.L. Gamer View, part 11 of our PSP GEMS series, which is continuously ongoing. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end of the episode. If you like what I'm doing here, please hit the like and subscribe buttons, as it really helps me and encourages me to do what I love. If you've noticed something different about this episode, that's because I recently moved to Dade City, Florida. And here, I'm still setting up my new house, so my apologies for not showing my face. But until next time, I'll catch you on the flip. Have a wonderful day or night. Goodbye.
Hello, how you doing? I'm doing just fine. I try to tell you all my problems, but you won't give me time.